I think it's really all just about like eliminating distractions. But as far as a like definition for minimalism, I don't really have anything like that. I would say my own personal definition is just being very intentional about like the things that you own and the things that you do. I think the thing about minimalism that often gets like misinterpreted is this idea that it only pertains to stuff. Oh, you need to own nothing, or like minimalists only own 55 things and no more, or something like that. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I would consider myself a minimalist, but I own quite a bit of crap. I think if someone else were to look at the stuff that I own, they would probably be like, oh, he doesn't really own a lot of stuff. But from my own personal perspective, I feel like I still own quite a bit. But at the same time, it's all very personal. It's all just like, you know, whatever you personally feel like you need. And so I think it's all about like only having the things that you need, or the things that you use, things that you enjoy. That's something I feel like I hear a lot of people say as well, is like, you know, from your own analysis of why maybe you buy a lot of stuff, is like, oh, I didn't have this stuff before, and now I have like, you know, an income that allows me to get it, or like I just have access to it, and so now I'm gonna like go after it. But I think where a lot of the problem comes from, and this is kind of before I started practicing minimalism about 2 or 3 years ago, I think what I was doing is I constantly felt like something was kind of off. Like I, you know, just didn't really feel very great. And so I would constantly like feel better if I bought something. So like I used to be really into, and nothing wrong with this either, but I used to be really into Magic the Gathering. There was something about buying like a booster pack of Magic the Gathering that would always make me feel like really good. And so I would do it all the time. And then I kind of like took a step back and I was like, man, I have a lot of Magic the Gathering cards and I still don't really feel very complete, but I have a lot of cards. I think minimalism is more of a mindset than actually like having fewer things or having like a certain count of things. I think it definitely can be like you limit yourself to a certain number of things, but I think it kind of goes beyond that too. Like, so for me personally, when I first got into minimalism, one of the first things I did is I cleared out my closet, because I used to love going to like Goodwill and finding like, you know, cool shirts or whatever, and I would just collect all those shirts and wear them occasionally. But I noticed that I didn't really wear all of my clothes. Like sometimes I'd buy something and wear it like once and then like never wear it again for whatever reason. And so one of the first things I did was go through my closet and kind of trim it down. And one of the things I immediately noticed is that a lot of the clothes that I had purchased like didn't even fit me. Like I had either bought them when I was like a medium. I'm more of a large now, but I had like bought them when I was a medium. And also I used to like tighter fitting clothing. Now that I'm a bit older, I don't really like that. I kind of like to, you know, be a little more comfortable. But a lot of that stuff didn't even fit, and so that's kind of like how I got rid of a lot of that. But then I also noticed like, man, even if all of this stuff did fit me, I don't think I would wear all of it before I did laundry. I decided to do like a conscious experiment to see like, you know, where's my comfort level for like when I would prefer to do laundry. And it was about like, you know, I like to do laundry about once a week. Sometimes I'll go a max of like 2 weeks without doing laundry if I'm like super busy, if I got a lot of stuff going on. So I was like, you know what? I don't know how many pants I'm gonna own or how many socks or underwear or whatever, but for my shirts, I'm gonna trim those down so I only own 14 shirts, just like 2 weeks worth of clothes. So I just like sorted stuff into piles. You can kind of like use different methods to figure out like, okay, which of these clothes do I want to keep? Which of these clothes am I actually going to use? But yeah, now I just have a closet with 14 shirts in it. I could probably go even less if I really wanted to, but I do I do get some enjoyment about switching up my clothes a little bit. So I do own a lot of just like plain black t-shirts, just because those are easy. Don't really have to think too much about what those can go with. But also I like some like, you know, weird, kind of weirder, like colorful stuff to wear on like special occasions. Which, to be honest, I almost got rid of them recently, but decided to keep them just because there has not been a very special occasion in quite some time. But I decided to keep them because I was like, you know what? There will be a special occasion eventually. Because it's really easy to look at somebody and be like, oh, they do the XYZ. And so if I want to be as successful or as wise or as whatever as this other person, then I just need to do XYZ. And that is definitely not the case. One, I think that process is going to be very, very individualistic. It's going to be that one person's experience is not going to apply to everybody, because there might be some other factors in there that are specific to them. But then two, if we focus too much on what people are doing, we might miss what they're not doing, right? So kind of throw back to what we were talking about earlier with like, if you seek tranquility, then do less. There might be something that you need to remove from what you're doing rather than adding. I think pretty often, and I see this throughout every day almost, somebody is confronted with a problem that they need to find a solution for. And oftentimes their first thought is, I'm just going to start adding stuff. Like, to solve this problem, I think we need to start doing X, Y, Z, or A, B, C, or whatever. Rather than taking a step back, actually figuring out what the root cause is, and then figuring out, okay, maybe I need to actually do less of this. There's this technique for analyzing, like getting down to the root cause of an issue, called the 5 whys technique. And one of the things that talks about is to just, or one of the purposes of that is to just keep asking why until you can't ask why anymore, to fully understand a problem and why it might be occurring. And I think what we do is too often is we stop asking why too quickly. We say, why is this happening? Oh, it's because of this, and then we just stop there. We don't keep going.